What indicates that a person is highly educated? My uncle has a doctorate in philosophy. When I asked a question that he didn't know the answer to, my uncle always answered, "I don't know, but we can find out." Then we would go to his computer and he would teach me how to use Google and how to analyze sources. So yes, having the courage to admit that you don't know something. Not to try to come up with an answer and to be able to find answers to the questions that interest you. This is very important. Openness to new things. These people are usually interested in hearing different points of view or new approaches to solving problems. Many years ago, I worked with engineers and was amazed at how often they were willing to learn about low-tech or alternative ways of doing things, even if they hadn't planned to do it that way. Some of them would build inefficient engines or vehicles in their spare time just because they wanted to learn more about the process and see how old technologies work. I think that through their studies they realized that all practical problems should be solved in practice. The previous comment reminded me of a story about toothpaste. A toothpaste factory had a problem. Sometimes empty boxes arrived on the shelves without tubes inside. Realizing how important it was to solve this problem, the CEO of the toothpaste factory gathered the top managers of the company. Since their in-house engineering department was already overwhelmed, they decided to hire an outside engineering company to help them solve the problem of empty boxes. The project followed the usual scenario. A budget was allocated and a sponsor was found. A request for proposals was issued, contractors were selected, and after 6 months and $8 million spent, a fantastic solution was found. On time, within budget, with high efficiency, and all project participants were satisfied. The problem was solved with the help of high-tech super-precision scales that beeped and flashed lights every time a box of toothpaste counted less than it should have. The line would stop. Someone had to come up and take the defective box off the line and then press another button to start the process again. After a while, the CEO decided to look at the ROI of the project. Amazing results. After the scales were installed, not a single empty box left the factory. There were very few complaints from customers. The company quickly gained market share. The money was well spent, the director said, and then looked closely at the other statistics in the report. The number of defects detected by the scales after 3 weeks of production use was 0. How could this be? They were supposed to detect at least a dozen defects a day, so maybe there was something wrong with the report. He reported the error, and after a little investigation, the engineers confirmed that the statistics were correct. The scales hadn't recorded any defects because all the boxes that came onto the conveyor were filled with tubes. The puzzled manager went to the factory and approached the part of the line where the high-precision scales were installed. A few meters before the scale, a $20 tabletop fan was blowing empty boxes off the conveyor into a trash can. The CEO walked up to one of the workers and asked what it was, and this. One of the workers had put it there because he was tired of going to the line every time the alarm went off. I've spent a lot of time around highly educated people, and there's one thing I've noticed about most avid mathematicians and scientists. It is the childlike enthusiasm with which they talk about the subject they are interested in. They very quickly forget that some people in the room don't have the same background and discuss complex topics as if everyone is on the same level as them. To be able to explain complex topics in a way that ordinary listeners can understand. To have extremely deep knowledge in one narrow area and be a complete idiot in everything else. To put it accurately, I knew nothing about baseball until my son started playing. Of course, I had a million questions for the coach. His ability to break everything down into simple details so that I could understand only confirmed his deep knowledge and true professionalism. And this is the same guy who almost burned down his house trying to deep fry mozzarella. They have a lot of leather-bound books, and the place smells like exquisite mahogany. A doctoral degree. This does not mean that a person is smart, but it definitely means that they are highly educated. Consider yourself stupid to know that you cannot know everything and never will. I know that I know nothing, Socrates. Use well-thought-out examples to simply explain the issue to people. It's even better if they use analogies from a field you are familiar with. A cardigan and a pipe, which they use as a way of showing that they are thinking about a question. When one starts publishing as a primary author in top-tier academic journals. There are many great answers here, but I have to add perspective, the ability to set aside personal life experiences, preferences, and beliefs and analyze something from a neutral perspective and then recognize how your personal experiences affect the analysis. This applies to all matters, whether you are reviewing case files or court documents or talking to a friend about something. Being able to approach the topic from a neutral position and understand concepts that you may not agree with or believe in will make a big difference, even if you are involved in the situation. I would say that it's more of a marker of high emotional intelligence or high intelligence in general, but many highly intelligent people tend to be highly educated, not always, but often. Willingness to reconsider your position. Do not lose your temper when someone disagrees with you or corrects you. Huge student loan debt for education. Many highly educated people, as a rule, never find themselves in informal social situations where someone would like to talk about something related to their field of work. They tend to avoid such situations or withdraw in public unless they meet someone of their own level with similar interests. The ability to say incredibly ridiculous things in a very convincing manner. The calmest person in the room who allows others to speak first. Not rejecting someone's point of view right away, even if it's wrong. Their goal is to help you get information. Neil deGrasse Tyson is very good at this. Highly educated people often have a large vocabulary and can express their thoughts and ideas eloquently. They often use more complex and detailed language in their communication. Highly educated people can speak at the level of their audience. A pediatrician must be able to speak to a child, his or her teenage sibling, parents, and other healthcare providers in a language that is appropriate for their age and experience while effectively presenting the same information. The smartest people can think outside the box in difficult situations. They know how to think fast and slow. They also realize that they don't know much. They strive to constantly develop. Correct use of multisyllabic words, the ability to find answers to questions, and the desire to find them. They do not make mistakes in the spelling of common words. If they have a Facebook page, they don't post a bunch of memes about relationships. Much of what is discussed here is more a sign of high intelligence than the result of education. I disagree with those who say that it is a willingness to admit that you don't know something. My mother was extremely smart, had a PhD, was a college professor, and was extremely arrogant. When she argued with me, she thought she could win every time just by saying so. I read this in Time magazine. This was before the internet. Highly educated people are usually able to think critically, they are eloquent and can communicate effectively. On the other hand, some very smart people can be socially awkward. The most outstanding surgeons I have ever met had a poor manner with patients. You could say that they approached the world from an intellectual point of view, not from an emotional one. It was hard to pretend to be compassionate when they were much more interested in solving the problem than in reassuring the patient. On the other hand, some very smart people can be socially awkward. They are interested in things that other people don't even try to understand and help others learn. My ex was preparing for a graduate school entrance exam while we were dating. As part of her preparation, she wrote down long words on flashcards and I helped her learn them. Because everyone who enters a graduate program takes this exam and everyone is encouraged to learn the same set of words. Most people with a master's degree and above know what they mean. And since their friends, colleagues, and classmates also understand the meaning of these words, there is almost a separate class of people who have a secret set of terms by which they recognize each other. Highly educated in the negative sense, the belief that every job requires some form of higher education and that having a diploma alone makes a person more suitable for any job. They also tend to use this as an argument in disputes over income for certain positions. In essence, they use education to justify classism and elitism. In a positive sense, as others have mentioned, they often try to find information that they lack. In the negative sense, people who complain about their salary or lifestyle, even though they are at least middle class. Sure, you've spent 4+ years at university, but what you've learned is not in demand. And you don't earn as much as some experienced builders who studied 7 to 8 years less than you. But that doesn't mean you're screwed. You live in a first world country and you will say that dumber people earn more than you. But you still earn more than enough to live comfortably with many amenities. No, intelligence, knowledge, and education are not a reason to humiliate other people who are just living their lives as friends. What are some signs of high education that you know? Write in the comments. Dear friends, thank you for every like, comment, subscription, and call. Thank you for watching to the end. See you in the next video.